Hello, my name is Janalee and I work with Nutristart, and we're going to talk about liposomals today. We have 3 liposomal products in our formulations. So I have Ken Peters here today, and we've got 3 liposomals. One of them is the liposomal curcumin Resveratrol, and we have a liposomal vitamin C, and we have a liposomal glutathione. So, Ken, what can you tell us about liposomal?
Well, the technology was developed for pharmaceutical companies for hard-to-deliver drugs. Things that are easily broken up by stomach acid or have to be done intravenously. When it's inconvenient to be intravenous, this was a liquid medium that would work. It's a complicated, expensive technology, so some companies claim to have it, but they don't. They simply mix fat and the nutrient together. It's actually a ultrasonic process whereby the molecule of, say, the glutathione is vibrated into the middle of a molecule of phosphatidylcholine, which is a phospholipid like lecithin, and that bubble of fat will go through the digestive fluids intact without being damaged, so it delivers the nutrient beyond the digestive system. Then, because our cells are phospholipid, it will easily penetrate the cell, taking the nutrient into the cell effectively.
So right into the cell.
Yeah. For example,
my understanding is glutathione is the master antioxidant. It's the only one that can get right working inside the cell and outside the cell. So with the liposomal form, you're telling me that the other antioxidants in this form of liposomal can get right into the cell?
like the vitamin C, for example. Vitamin C is not difficult to absorb, unlike the other elements. Glutathione's very pointless in most supplements. It just breaks up in the stomach acid. Curcumin's difficult to absorb. You have to use processes, in addition to black pepper extract and such, to make it absorbable. Resveratrol, short half-life in the blood and easily destroyed in the stomach acid. So those two very particularly benefit from the liposomal technology.
What do you think of the black pepper?
It helps certain forms of
Is there any
curcumin be absorbed.
contraindication about the black pepper?
Not that I'm aware of. Not in an isolate or a concentrate form. It does improve absorption of turmeric extracts, but it's not the only technology. It's actually an older technology, and you don't find it much anymore. It's sort of the first generation. Something like a liposomal form does not require the black pepper at all, because it's protected against stomach acid and delivers to the cells effectively. Now, vitamin C, it's not a difficult to absorb thing, but it works outside of the cell. And when you make it liposomal, it now enters the cell. And so when you enter the cell, you protect the DNA from damage. So that becomes not only a health benefit, but a longevity benefit.
Okay.
So people find that the vitamin C for serious health conditions can make a huge difference compared to just taking regular ascorbic acid or buffered vitamin C.
Which flushes out in 2 hours because it's water soluble, right?
Or buffered C stays in longer, but liposomal C stays in even longer than buffered C, and again, works within the cell,
My
not without the
understanding,
cell.
it lasts up to 8 hours, the liposomal.
Yeah,
Working
easily.
full out for the 8 hours.
Yeah,
which
you
is
get a
great.
lot of mileage out of it.
Yeah.
Now, the glutathione is, as I say, the master antioxidant. It's pretty much the single most important antioxidant for all the major health issues. So the sicker and older a person is, the lower their glutathione levels. The more inflammatory conditions they have. If they're in a hospital, the lower the levels they have. And, well, doctors will use intravenous glutathione for life-threatening ailments. They don't tend to use it often or recommend it much. But the average person can use something in this form for reduction of inflammation, for longevity purposes. Also the resveratrol, because it prevents telomere fraying, which helps our DNA replicate original patterns, is a longevity agent as well. So actually the combination of these three things as far as longevity goes is you couldn't do much better. Vitamin C for collagen production and detoxification purposes. Glutathione detoxifies radiation, heavy metals, most chemical pollutants required for that. And then the turmeric will the concentrate, now this is not an isolate of curcumin, even though it says curcumin on the label, it's a 95% curcuminoid. So it's a concentrated product, but not a fractionated, isolated product. Anti-inflammatory, anti-cancer, anti-diabetes, anti-Alzheimer's, antioxidant, and
Tell us-
combined with, pardon?
Tell me a little bit about the phosphatidylcholine,
Well,
which is a carrier.
it's a form of lecithin, often referred to as triple strength lecithin. So it's a concentrated form of lecithin. So lecithin helps rebuild the myelin sheath. So it helps restructure nerve endings. It produces acetylcholine, which improves short-term memory retrieval. So it's useful for that. And
So very good for people that have memory issues.
oh yeah, absolutely.
And the liver, I understand, as well.
That's right. It cleans fatty deposits off the liver. So there's 400 milligrams of phosphatidylcholine per
Per
serving.
teaspoon, yeah.
Yeah, which is a reasonable amount.
Yeah.
So you do have the
Amazing.
added benefit of the carrying agent actually serving a biological function
Yeah.
and not just being inert or just a tool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A little more about the resveratrol.
Well, again, massive anti-inflammatory, antioxidant, and anti-aging component.
Okay.
So rat studies have shown it to prolong life quite dramatically, but it's a very tricky substance. Swallowing it, a lot of it just gets broken up in the gut, and a lot of it passes through the bloodstream extremely fast.
That's what's in red wine is the resveratrol, right? But it doesn't.
Back in the day,
Yeah.
the day being the 1930s,
Okay.
the use of pesticides usurps the function of resveratrol, which is to protect the plant against stressors, against radiation damage from the sun, against fungal damage and oxidative damage. So as we started using pesticides, the plant no longer needed to produce the resveratrol. So ours is actually derived from Japanese knotweed, which is the highest food source of resveratrol.
Oh,
currently.
wonderful.
Yeah. A lot of people concerned about vaccines and
Oh, yes.
vaccine damage to children.
Right.
A new blog I'm working on looks at the idea that liposomal vitamin C and liposomal glutathione can help protect against any potential damage that
From the
that
from the
could occur,
vaccine.
yeah, if the immune systems aren't up to par to cope with that.
Okay.
And clearly, they will do so. So dosing children with that prior to vaccination and a few days thereafter can help prevent any kind of inflammatory conditions and any kind of adverse responses that can occur. Because some children don't have an immune system strong enough to take some of these vaccines, and by helping the immune system crank up and cope with any byproducts that are of damage or toxins, it's very protective.
Yes. I've heard a lot of people, once they have a vaccine shot for, say, the flu virus, are often getting sick right after they've gotten the,
Yeah, because there's other
the vaccine.
components in there that are designed to kick up your immune system so that the vaccine, the antigen itself, can be activated. But if your immune system's already weak or prone to going
Exactly.
into overdrive in an autoimmune condition, those secondary agents can be problematic, and that's where glutathione can help you clear out any metals that might be in there and any immune overstimulation that might be problematic.
Okay. So these three products together are quite a powerhouse
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, for longevity.
for longevity.
Yeah, and for anybody who's seriously ill.
Yes.
You know, anybody with a life-threatening ailment of any type,
Yeah.
always glutathione levels have bottomed out.
Yes.
So you elevate those, and then you help protect the cells and the DNA replication with the resveratrol and the turmeric and the vitamin C. You couldn't find a much better supplemental therapeutic approach to most serious ailments than that combination of products.
Yes, I was speaking with a medical doctor actually, noticing that at my table when I was doing a demo at the Lifestyles on Douglas, it was like, oh my gosh, you've got liposomal C. I thought I could only get it in the United States. And she tasted it, loved it, and bought 2 bottles. And then the next month I see 3 bottles in her cart plus the curcumin resveratrol. And I'm going, why?
Yeah.
And then the next time I saw her, I noticed nothing was in her cart, and I just said, hey, how are you doing? And she says, well, I'm doing good. I got to tell you about my dad. I got my dad on these 2 products. We hadn't come up with the glutathione at that point. Plus the vitamin D, because vitamin D is now known for helping to prevent many different cancers,
Absolutely.
actually. And she said, Janalee, his PSA levels have been brought right down to normal.
Oh, that's amazing.
After he had prostate cancer, and they did an operation, and then she got him on this for probably about 4 months, 3 to 4 months, and that's when I saw her, and she said he is doing so well.
Oh, that's
She
amazing.
was so happy that his PSA accounts were down to normal.
Yeah, because post-surgical, that's the prime thing they look for.
Exactly. Yeah.
Prior to prostate cancer, it's not considered that great a benchmark anymore, but after surgery, it's considered a prime benchmark. So that's an amazing thing that it can lower PSA levels like that.
Yeah, for sure.
And then, of course, if you do have to go chemotherapy or radiation or something, the glutathione helps your body cope with the negative byproducts of those therapies too.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, because glutathione's one of the antioxidants that truly allows the toxins to leave the cellular level.
Yeah, it makes them essentially water soluble, so the body can flush them out.
So a lot of people with trauma are often dealing with sore, like almost like a fibromyalgia or a chronic fatigue symptoms from trauma in their lives. And we're also starting to see results with like people with car accidents that have been just in pain all the time, and they go on the glutathione and it's relieving their pain.
Yeah,
They're on
absolutely.
top of it. They're just thrilled. So.
Well, and speaking of trauma, of course, childhood trauma leads to poor methylation. And poor methylation, 30 to 40% of the population doesn't methylate. So many ailments, especially things like chronic fatigue, lupus, Epstein-Barr, fibromyalgia, all those things are linked to poor methylation, and people who don't methylate can't produce their own glutathione. So what they get is heavy metals building up over time, viruses taking seed, and the conditions just worsening and worsening. And it's basically because they can't detoxify themselves because they've lost the ability to create glutathione. So for those people, poor methylators, glutathione's a godsend.
Oh my gosh. My sensing from trauma, what happens in the body is the body goes into shock, so the cells go, and it goes into like a holding pattern. So the cells go into a holding pattern, the body tends to go into a holding pattern, and so it sets up the conditioning of protecting itself from anything else happening. So in that process, it's not allowing the toxins to, the poor methylation definitely starts to kick in because the body's in a holding pattern.
Freezing. Fright or freeze.
So awesome. Well, thank you so much, Ken, for sharing your wonderful knowledge with us today with our liposomals.
My pleasure.
Thank you.